Half a day, everyone. This video is the second of two on decimal numbers. In this video, we'll go over division of decimal numbers, division by powers of 10, comparing decimal numbers, powers and square roots, converting from fraction to decimal, and then vice versa, and lastly, operations with fractions and decimal numbers. When dividing fractions, you have to keep in mind that the divisor, or the number you're dividing it by, has to be a whole number. If it's not, we have to make it a whole number by moving the decimal point as many times necessary to the right. And then however many times you move it to the right, you'll have to move it to the right in the dividend as well, the number on the inside. For this first one, letter A, I see that my divisor, 47, the number that comes after, 47 is already a whole number, so I don't need to move any decimal points. I'm just going to divide it and keep in mind the decimal place. So this one's pretty normal to dividing whole numbers. I know 47 is approximately 50, and there would be 3 of them in 150. 3 times 47. 3 times 7 is 21. Carry that 2. 3 times 4 is 12 plus 2, 141. Subtract. 94. I'm going to carry that decimal point up to the top and keep it in the same place. 94 has 2 times 47. So my answer here is 3.2. For letter B, my divisor 0.65 is not a whole number, so I'm going to make it 1 by moving that decimal place 2 times to the right. 1, 2. Now we have 65. And then this other one I'm going to have to move 2 times to the right also. 1, 2. 522.6 divided by 65 will give us the same answer. You have to make sure you move it the same amount of times. Okay, then I'll just set this up. 522.6 divided by 65. And for me, when I was trying to do this, okay, I know 65 cannot go into 5 or 52. It's going to go into 522 a certain number of times. Since I'm not sure, I'll just guess on the side, like guess and check. I know 6 times 9 is 54. So I might just try 65 times 8 because 540 would be too high. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 6 is 48. Plus 4 is 52. Okay, that turned out really nicely. So I know that 65, I'm going to put an 8 here above the 2. 8 times this is 520. Subtracting, I'm going to put a 0 here. Okay, so we have 26. I don't even really care about the decimal points on the bottom because that's what I'm going to be dividing. As long as I have the decimal point on the top, then we're good. Okay, 26 divided by 65. It cannot go in at all. When I have this decimal, I can add these zeros at the end. 260 divided by 65. I know 6 times 4 is 24, so 60 times 4 is 240. So I'm going to try multiplying 65 times 4 to see what it gets. 4 times 5 is 0. 4 times 6, 4 times 5 is 20, sorry. 4 times 6 is 24 plus 2, 26, perfect. So we have 4 times 65 is 260. Our remainder is 0. When you're working with decimals, you don't put like remainder, whatever. You want to keep working until you have a remainder of 0. So the answer for this one is 8.04. We have a few more examples. So this one, I'm going to move the decimal point 2 times again. 2 times for that one, and then we move it 2 times for this one. Notice that I'm going to have to put an extra 0 in 197.2 because I don't have a 0 there, but I need to move it 2 times. 1972, 0. Divided by 29. I'll divide this normally. 29 cannot go into 19. 29 into 197. 30 times 6 is 180, so I'm going to do 6. 6 times 9 is 54. 6 times 2 is 12 plus 5, 174. Subtracting, we have 3, 2, 272. I'm bringing that at 2. 232 divided by 29. Okay, I'm kind of estimating in my brain here. Okay, 29 is approximately 30. 230 is approximately 230. So I'm going to say, okay, if I was going to divide 23 by 3, I know 3 times 7 is 21. So it's around there, but I might try 29 times 7 and 29 times 8. Let me try 29 times 8 first, just to see. 29 times 8, 8 times 9 is 672. 8 times 2 is 16 plus 7, 23. Okay, it worked out. I knew it was either 7 or 8. So we have here 8 times 29 is 232. We have a remainder of 0. Notice that you're not just stopping at 68. We have another digit right here that we didn't account for. So I'm going to put a 0 there. And the answer is 680. For this last one, 2 divided by 3. There's the divisor is a whole number. So what we're going to do here, 2 divided by 3. Notice that we're going to put a decimal point right here because obviously I'm going to have to go into the right side. So 2 divided by 3, I'm going to have to add a 0 here. 20 divided by 3 is 6. 6 times 3, 18. Subtract down, we have a 2. I'll add another 0. 20 divided by 3 is 6, 18, 2. Notice that it's just going to keep repeating, right? 20 divided by 3, 6, 18. I'm still going to always have the same remainder, which is going to give me the same numbers repeating. So 0.66. All I'm going to do is just write it down with the 3 decimal places and then put a bar over it to indicate that it is repeating. You might even have like a pair of numbers that's repeating, like for example, like 0.272727. There you'll put the bar over the 2 and the 7. If it's only one number at the end that's repeating, so for example, if you have 0.124444, then you can just put the bar over the 4. So when we talk about dividing decimal numbers by powers of 10, it's going to be very similar to multiplying by powers of 10. So we're still counting the number of zeros in the 10 or power of 10. And then we're moving the decimal point that number of times, but to the left now because we're making a smaller number by dividing by 10 or dividing by the power of 10. For this first one, 5.3 divided by 10, I'm going to take that decimal point and move it 1 time to the left because 10 only has 1 0, I mean. So we have 0.53. For letter B, I know 10 squared is 100, or I can just say, okay, 10 squared has 2 zeros, the same as the exponent. So I'm going to move it 2 times to the left, right? We're making it smaller. So it's going to be 1, 2, fill in the zeros. 0.0048. Letter C, we have 700.98 divided by 1,000. We have 3 zeros, moving that 3 times to the left. 1, 2, 3. 0.70098. Lastly, we have dividing by 10 to the 5th power. So I'm going to divide or move the decimal point 5 times to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fill in that extra 0. 0.0345669. Moving on to square roots and powers of decimals, it works the same way as the powers or square roots of whole numbers, but you just have to keep in mind the rules of the decimal places, right? So the product is going to have the same number of decimal places as the factors combined. So 0.4 times 3, it's going to be 0.4 times 0.4 times 0.4. I know 4 times 4 is 16. If I multiply by 4, it's going to be 64. But I know I need to have 3 decimal places because I have 1 here, 1 here, 1 here. So I have 64, but I'm going to have 1, 2, 3. 0.064. And of course, this is something that you can write out instead of doing in your head. And then from there, it'll be easier to see the decimal places. Letter B, 1.1 squared is just 1.1 times 1.1. Here, I already know, okay, I already can tell 11 times 11 is 121. But I know I need 1 decimal place, 2 decimal places. 1, 2. 1.21. For letter C, I have 1.97 raised to 0. Anything raised to 0 is going to be 1. Letter D, again, I'm keeping in mind how many decimal places I have. If I have the square root, I already know that 0.49 is going to be 0.7 squared. So what you can do, you can rewrite it, or you can just say, okay, I know it's going to be 0.7 because 7 times 7 is 49. But if it's 0.7 times 0.7, I should have 2 decimal places. So it works out. So it's 0.7. Some places you might see it written as this first, 0.7 squared, still in that radical, because we know that 0.7 squared is going to be 0.49. And then from there, the radical cancels this exponent. But I'm fine if you jump straight to the actual answer. 121, I know the square root of 121 is 11. And then I have those 2 decimal places. So if it's going to be squared, it's only 1 decimal place each. So it's going to be 1.1. 0.64, I know square root of 64 is 8, but I need 1 decimal place each. 0.8. Now we're going into converting from a fraction to a decimal number. So when you're converting from a fraction to a decimal number, if you have a mixed number, you have to convert that to an improper fraction and then just divide until the remainder is 0. So we're using decimal places. So 1 and 5/8, I know it's going to be 8 times 1, converting it to a improper fraction. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 5 is 13, so it's 13 over 8. Now I'm going to divide 13 by 8. 8 can go into 13 once with a remainder of 5. And since this is not 0, I'm going to put a decimal point right here so I can continue. Then I can add as many zeros after the decimal point as needed. So bring down that 0. 50 divided by 8 is going to be 6. 6 times 8 is 48. We have 2 right here. Bring down that 0. 20 divided by 8 is 2. We have 16, remainder 4, 1 more 0. 40 divided by 8 is 5, which is 40. Remainder 0. And then your answer here is 1.625. Two over 3, I know it's going to be 2 divided by 3. Oops, sorry. 2 divided by 3. 3 cannot go into 2, so I'm going to add a 0 right here. 3 can go into 26 times. 18. We actually did this one before, right? We see this one is going to keep repeating. Keep that decimal point in the correct spot. it's going to keep repeating. So I can put 0.66 bar. I already know it's going to keep repeating itself. In the other example where we had this, we put 0.666 bar. Either is fine. Doesn't really matter. Now when we're going the other way around from a decimal number to a fraction, you want to keep in mind that what the place it is. So when you talk about 100th, 1000th place, 10th place, 100,000th place, that's going to come into play. So what we're going to do is going to create a mixed number with the whole number being the number to the left of the decimal point. So for this one, the mixed number is going to be 1. The number to the right of the decimal point is going to be your numerator, so that 2 is going to be my numerator. And then your denominator is going to be what place it's in. So 2 is in the 10th place, so it's going to convert to over 10. And I know this is going to simplify. They're both divisible by 2, so it's going to be 1 and 1/5. For this one on the right, we have the whole number, 7. And then we have 205. The number on the right is the numerator. Let's see, it's tens, hundreds, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Another hint is that however many decimal places there are, that's going to be how many zeros there are. So there's 3 decimal places. I have 3 zeros for that, 1,000. And then I'll simplify this. I know anything that ends in 5 or 0 is divisible by 5. So I'm just going to try this. 205 divided by 5. 4. 1. 41. 7 and 41 over 1,000 divided by 5. 200. Moving now into operations that include both fractions and decimal numbers. So you can do either convert to fraction or convert to decimal numbers. Typically people like to convert to decimals. However, if ever you do that and you have a recurring or repeating decimal, like how you had that 0.66 bar, you don't want to work when it's like that, so you want to convert it to a fraction. So there's 3.2 plus 3 over 4. I know 3 over 4 or 3/4. Maybe you already know that's going to be 75, right? So it's 0.75. Or you can divide that. 3 divided by 4, which will actually give you 0.75. So we have 3.2 plus 0.75. Adding this, you'll line it up like how we did in the last video. But I already know this is going to end up with 3.95. So on your own, if you're doing this by hand, you'll just align the numbers according to the place value and then add down. For this one on the right, 5.5, I know can convert easily. 1/2 is the same as 0.5. It is pretty useful to memorize some of them, like 1/2, 1/4, 3/4, things like that, because you can convert very easily from that. So we have 12.3 minus 5.5. From here, you can line it up, but already I can see, okay, 12.3 minus 5.5. I'm going to have to carry, keep that 11. 13 minus 5 is 8. Keep that decimal point in line. 11 minus 5 is 6, so that's 6.8. And our last two examples is continued from the last one. 2 and 1/12 times 0.8. So for letter A, that 2 and 1/12, if you were to try dividing that or converting it to a mixed number, which would be 25 over 12, if you were to divide that, you would have a recurring decimal. So I want to actually convert it to a fraction, 0.8 to a fraction. Also, once I see it's multiply or divide, I remember that when I worked with fractions that multiplying and dividing fractions is very simple. So if I can make it be that, then I'd rather do that than long division. Because all I have to do is multiply. Multiply is much easier, right? So I'll convert both of these to improper fractions, and then from there, multiply according to the rules of fractions. So 2 and 1/12, I know it's 12 times 2 is 24 plus 1. 25 over 12 times 0.8, I know it's going to be 8 over, it's in the tenths place, 10. From here, I can cross cancel, do some of our canceling, and then multiply. So 12 and 8 are both divisible by 4. This will become 2, this will become 3. 10 and 25, both divisible by 5. 2 and 5. From here, I'll multiply across 5 times 2, 10 over 6, which are both divisible by 5, or sorry, both divisible by 2. Divide both by 2, which is 5 over 3. For letter D, I see this 4 over 5. Actually 4 over 5 can convert pretty simply to a decimal. 4 over 5 is actually going to be 0.8. However, it's division, and I don't like doing division. So you can do either, but I'm actually going to try converting this to a fraction, 0.76 to a fraction, and then doing it from there. Because, again, like I said, dividing by a fraction by a fraction is easier than dividing a decimal number by a decimal number. So you have 0.76. That's going to be 76 over 100. Divided by 4 over 5. The rules of fractions, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal of the divisor. So we have 76 over 100 multiplied by 5 over 4. If you wanted to reduce that 76 over 100 already, you can. For me, I'm just going to cross cancel anyways, so I didn't really feel the need to. So 105, they're both divisible by 5. We have 1 and 20. 4 and 76, they're both divisible by 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. 76, half of 76 is going to be 38. Multiplying across, we have 38 over 40. I noticed that I can simplify it one more time actually, because 38 and 40 are both divisible by 2. So that 76 was actually divisible by 4, but I didn't catch it right away, which is fine. I knew it was divisible by 2. So I'll just break it down one more time. So 38 and 40 are both divisible by 2. That's going to be 38 divided by 2 is 19. 40 divided by 2 is 20. So we have 19 over 20. And that is it for this video. It's quite a bit. Pause whenever you need to, but please try to do some practice exercises on your own. So thank you for your attention. Have a great day.